British High Commissioner Jo Lomas, thank you so much for your time and speaking to us here on RwandaTV. Now, High Commissioner, I understand the UK is set to invest about £93 million to accelerate construction of new coronavirus vaccine manufacturing and innovation center, which will have a huge vaccine production capacity. The funding will also ensure the center opens in summer 2021. This is probably a year later. So what does this mean for Africa and Rwanda specifically to accelerate, rather, that are currently looking at developed countries and developed partners like the UK in responding to COVID-19 pandemic?
So I think the search for a vaccine is probably our big global challenge of the moment. There's quite a lot of companies and organisations and countries working on this. I think the UK is the biggest contributor. We're working very closely with the Coalition of Epidemic Preparedness, CEPI, and both CEPI and the UK are really determined that access to any vaccine should be equitable. So the work that we are doing, along with many other countries, is to try and narrow down options for a vaccine and then start producing it. So this new vaccine centre is being set up. Although it'll be completed next summer, this summer, it'll already be able to start manufacturing. We'll be manufacturing for people in the UK, but much broader than that. There'll be a large number of vaccines that can be produced. Similarly, I expect many other countries to then take on board that vaccine and just get going with it. So it'll be down to the WHO and CEPI and the African Union to all sort of work together to make sure that those vaccines are well distributed across the nation. But we're really determined that everyone should have access to it.
I understand the UK has the highest number of COVID-19 deaths, unfortunately. What does this mean to the UK's international commitment to support several schemes and projects that were due planned prior to this pandemic?
Well, actually, I think we have we're not the highest number. There are other countries above the UK, but still, it's a very unfortunate number, and certainly the UK has suffered from this. But that doesn't mean that we are neglecting our friends overseas. It's in everybody's interests that countries, including Rwanda, emerge from this really strong. So we're looking at our programmes that we have in Rwanda, and we usually have about £60 million every year of these. And we're looking at how we can just tweak them, working with the government to make sure that they're sort of really addressing the challenges of the government. So, for example, we run a big education programme supporting primary education here, and we've shifted that slightly to start delivering remote learning via radio. That's reaching 50% of households now. We have an agriculture programme, and again, we're just sort of moving it slightly so that we can really help farmers ensure they can get their products to market, and that people in the cities like Kigali can access affordable fruit and vegetables. We support the VUP programme, which, as you know, targets the most vulnerable people in the population here. So again, we're making sure that those vulnerable people include those who are affected by COVID. So in all sorts of ways, we're just sort of making sure we're reacting to the current situation and working with the government to make sure we're supporting you through this difficult time.
Back to the vaccines manufacturing and innovation center. How will Africa, including Rwanda, benefit from this center?
If that vaccine is found, that's clearly of benefit for everybody. The whole idea of these global coalitions is that we work together, we research together, you have one or two successes, that then spreads out. A number of countries will be able to manufacture it. So where the vaccine for Rwanda is produced, I don't know yet, but the main thing is we find one. As soon as we do, or even before that, we start manufacturing. So some of the thinking at the moment is that you actually start manufacturing before you're 100% sure. Because the trials take some time. You don't want to come to the end of a trial and then say, right, let's go and start producing. So the idea, you start producing first. If at the end of the day you have to get rid of them because the trial isn't suitable, that's a risk we're prepared to take. But we're really fighting on all guns to make sure that this happens.
This centre is getting ready in the summer of 2021. Yeah. In your own opinion, do you think the world is ready to live with this virus between now and the summer of 2021?
There is a possibility that a vaccine is discovered this year, and we are in a position to start manufacturing from September if needed. We just don't know at the moment. I think the assumption is a vaccine may not be found until next year, if ever. Of course, it takes time to manufacture it and to distribute it. So I think everyone is assuming that at least a year of these sort of measures that we're looking at, social distancing, taking lots of precautions. I think, it's going to be around for a while.
What are your thoughts about CHOGM? I have to ask you about this one. It was supposed to take place in June, and it was extended to a later date that we're not sure about. Is it likely to be next year, or what is the latest?
I'm very sad that CHOGM has had to be postponed. I know how much effort the government's put into this and how much effort our office has also been working on this. But it was inevitable. It was the right decision. I believe the government has said it will postpone until next year. They haven't announced any dates for the moment. I think we're all just trying to work out exactly when things will start to return to normal, so that's quite sensible. We will support whatever the government of Rwanda decides. We're very clear that it's going to be in Kigali, and we're very much looking forward to it, albeit a year or so later.
We've seen many such meetings that were, postponed. Some being proposed to be held virtually. Is there a possibility of holding CHOGM virtually?
No, the government and we, the UK, think it should be held in person. One of the best things about the Commonwealth is that it is a network. It's one of the few times when leaders from such a diverse range of countries get together. And you can't really beat that bringing together of leaders. So we're not sure what a new look CHOGM will be like, but it will be physical rather than virtual.
One would want to know, what is the latest on Brexit?
Brexit is done and dusted. So we left on the 31st of January. We are now in a transition period until the 31st of December. The government is really clear that we will leave on the 31st with or without a deal. We very much want a deal. So we are sort of full-time now negotiating with the EU on what our future partnership should look like. We're also negotiating with individual countries and regional blocs. So, for example, the US, Japan. And then we're also talking to the East African community and its members, including Rwanda. We are keen to come to a deal with the EAC. Because we think it's in everybody's best interests. But I can reassure you that for countries like Rwanda, you will retain duty-free, quota-free access to the UK. So you won't really see any difference, but ideally we'd like to put it on a formal trade agreement setting.
Jo Lomas, British High Commissioner at Rwanda, many thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.